Hi, everyone. It's Amanda Blain here. Thanks for pressing play. Just wanted to share some blessings for the new year. I am talking to you now from the very, very busy city of Seoul, South Korea. I've been on the road traveling to various countries since late August, and I've had some beautiful moments in the middle of nowhere on the coast of the island of Crete, in just nature's paradise. And I've also had some really interesting moments in Palestine, in the Middle East. So I was staying in Palestine's West Bank and absolutely loved the people I met there. I was invited into so many people's homes and treated like a daughter and a sister, and was just really so grateful to have an experience in this part of the world. And the experience was very different than what I could have expected if I believed a lot of what is fed to us through the mainstream channels. So a lot of people asked me if I was scared, if it was dangerous, how safe did I feel? And the truth is, the locals made me feel very safe and very welcome and appreciated every day that I was there. So I was there for the better part of December, and then spent some time across the border in Israel. And now I have come to some of my last days here in South Korea. And this has probably been the most challenging place for me to be. Um, so, for some who don't know, I've had a lot of people write to me and ask me to share more of the personal details of my life story so that you can better understand where I'm coming from when I share some of these messages about moving beyond old identities, or letting go of these old stories of limitation and pain, and expanding our consciousness. So I have agreed to just share some of those details, not to put the spotlight on me, but to share them to let you know that I am with you in this human experience, in the experience of balancing the human aspects of ourselves so that we can expand into an experience of consciousness that has more clarity as to the wholeness of life itself, that is less tortured by the extremes of duality, and is more in an embrace of the wholeness of what exists in any moment. So let's bring that down to earth, chat about the very real human experience that I've been walking through. I am someone who has had post-traumatic stress for decades, since childhood. And I have added to that stress because I did not have an understanding that I have been affected by trauma. So the brain is very much changed by trauma. The nervous system is changed by trauma, and all of this changes the body. And what can happen for those who are not very familiar with this experience, what can happen is that just a simple touch on the body can send someone into a visceral experience of the trauma that they incurred years ago. And so it can be very challenging. You have all these people talk about just think positively, or just meditate, or just know that you are the infinite being, you are the consciousness, and that this idea of you being this self with all these problems is just an idea. And maybe there's some truth in all of that. I think there can be some value in all of those pieces, but let me just be really freaking real with about this experience. When you are a consciousness residing in a body, and this body has a nervous system that is connected to all of your viscera and your brain, and the smallest touch or the slightest sound triggers all of these neurons to detect a danger, it can feel incredibly daunting. It can feel, it's one of the worst feelings I've ever experienced to really want to participate in life, to connect with another human being, to experience intimacy with another human being. And while all of that desire for new experience is there, the body and the brain is so closed off because it's in this survival and protection mode. It's not as easy as just positively thinking. You have an entire system of wiring that needs to be honored and acknowledged. And I've practiced meditation for years, and it has definitely helped me to not get so caught up in the story of this always happens to me, or why is this so hard. It's definitely helped me to see when I am in a fear-based thought pattern. It's helped me to experience how fear manifests in my body. And it's helped me to see all of the emotions that stem from the fear and the fear-based stories. But meditation did not reset my nervous system. I had to go through a lot of training and just a lot of education to really get to know how do these various dimensions of myself, mental, emotional, and physical, work together to create my experience in the moment. And how can I change my relationship with these dimensions of myself so that I am empowered rather than controlled? How can I change the relationship with my fear so that the fear is a condition that's rising within me and something that I can see and watch and make new choices within, rather than the fear being what I am. And so I'm just sharing this to let you know that any of the things that I share, the invitations to shed our old identities or to release pain, all of this is coming from a place of deep experience. It's not something that was just read in a book and now is being offered to you. That phase of my life is over. I was a positive thinking, thought I was a positive thinking guru and such an advocate for it, and later learned that I can positively think all I want, but unless I have walked through the emotions that I'm carrying, unless I have one, quit being so damn arrogant that I think I don't have any emotions to face, and get really honest with myself about when emotions are arising, when fear is arising, and then to just have the bravery to experience that fear. So what happens with a lot of us is that we want to run away from all of our discomforts. We want to bury ourselves in work. We want to go have that glass of wine. We want to keep our schedule busy with all the yoga classes and the meditation classes and the retreats and the cleanses and all these self-help things. And a lot of the times this is just, so the problem, or the blockage exists within us. The fear and the stress and the post-trauma symptoms, that stuff, if you want to call it darkness, you can. That darkness exists here. And so when we're going out to the world to make ourselves feel better or to keep ourselves distracted from it, we're missing an opportunity to just honor what's here, to face what's here. And when we face what's here, this beautiful process begins to unfold, where we see that, like, this big scary darkness that we didn't want to face or even admit that we're carrying, when we come to see that, oh my gosh, this darkness is not some scary monster, it's not something that I need to hide or suppress. but it's actually here to just show me so much of my strength, so much of my dimensionality. One of the examples of this dimensionality is I was traveling through a pretty mountainous terrain as a passenger in a rental car. Dane was driving, and he's a very careful driver. But I suddenly started to, I was hyperventilating, and I felt like I had to stop the car and get out of the car. I felt this like sort of impending doom that we were definitely going to die. And it was, the terrain was rugged, but it wasn't that perilous. So really my perception of the situation was so extreme compared to the actual reality before us. But this is how post-trauma symptoms show up. And so I started to feel a lot of chest pain and started to feel very faint, and realized, because I have studied what a trauma brain and a trauma nervous system, the behavior of these aspects or dimensions of myself. I was very well aware that it was important in this situation for me to ground myself. And I was able to put my hands on my body, below my chest, put my hands on the bottoms of my feet. And once I did that, I felt this immediate release and just started crying so many tears and having these flashbacks of being in the back of an ambulance when I was a kid after a car accident, crying for my mother. And so, I didn't know that this flashback was coming, but something in my psyche was reliving that experience. Something about this car ride reminded me of this experience at the subconscious level, at the level of my body. So a lot of the times we are living in this heightened state of fear, but our conscious mind doesn't know it. Our bodies know it. Our psyche is having the experience, but our conscious mind doesn't know it. And the reason I'm sharing this is because coming up, starting this month in January, I'm going to be holding online events, and you can attend live or you can get the recording later. But in these events, we are entering the world of dimensional life. And that means that we're no longer just blinded by what's happening in the moment. A lot of times, the things that are upsetting us in the moment, we can get, very angry or very sad, or really caught up in the details of this person did this and this person did this. And when we're stuck in that sort of linear way of thinking and perceiving, we hold all of our stories, all of our fear, and all of our stress within us. We hold all of that intact at the mental, emotional, and physical level. So with dimensional life, we are able to see beyond the details of the present moment and to feel deeply within ourselves what we are experiencing. What is the perception? What is the fear? And in this way, we sort of spin our focus around, turning it within, and our relationship with fear changes. We no longer run away from it or point the finger outside of ourselves. We begin facing it and feeling it within ourselves, which then opens the door to actually dissolve this fear, to finally release these stories and all of these patterns of mind and body that keep the fear in place. And when we do this, we actually transmute the nature of our presence. We transmute our energy at such a deep level that the way we feel about ourselves, the way we feel about our place in the world, and the way we interact with the world completely changes. And I'm saying this from experience. So it's a journey that I'm in, and that I am now in full embrace of. And there's no finish line in this journey. We're not trying to get to any one place. This isn't about manifesting the love of your life or getting your dream job. It's not about that, but it's about being so incredibly rooted in a sense of value, which is not dependent on the world's approval. It is about being so connected with your humanity that empathy naturally replaces judgment and comparison. And it is about finding your balance in a seemingly clamorous world. So just like I'm finding my balance here in the noisy chaos of Seoul, South Korea, we can find our balance anywhere in our lives when things go haywire and it seems like everything is falling apart. These are the times when that are real opportunities for us to spin the focus around and to feel the dimensions of our humanity. And in doing so, expanding our consciousness. So expanding into a state of existence that is just no longer burdened by life, but is just experiencing it. The first workshop I'll be holding this year is on January 25th. It is just called, very generically right now, it's called Self-Study Live and Online. And in this workshop, we will be seeing our subconscious fear. Everybody has it. Usually the fear is fear of not being good enough, the fear of not being safe or secure, or the fear of abandonment, separation, or aloneness. So sometimes we're experiencing all those three fears all at once. So I'm sure that this is ringing and resonating with a lot of you out there. No one is immune. So we're going to just have a look. We're going to see our subconscious fear. We're going to be bravely self-honest with what we're carrying and know that just because we have this fear doesn't mean we're broken. It just means we're human. And then we're going to look at how we can shift our relationship with this fear. We can use stress or fear as a portal into the stronger dimensions of ourselves. So this would be beyond the limited idea that I am a person controlled and immobilized and tormented by my stress. We're going to move beyond that idea into an experience that may feel more like, okay, stress and fear are parts of the human condition. I can see it. I can feel it. What are my choices? So big difference. I know it sounds so much easier said than done, but if we don't look at it, if we don't acknowledge it, and we don't see how to shift our relationship with it, then nothing changes. So if you're interested in having a look, making some new discoveries, and changing your relationship with yourself and the world, then join us for this upcoming workshop. This is a 2-hour session, and the cost is $55. You can pay that via PayPal, and it will be recorded. So you can tune in for the live video call. I will just send you a link, and you'll tune in for the live call. Otherwise, you will watch it later and watch it as many times as you want. So yeah, if you have any questions about it, please reach out. For those of you who were requesting me to share more of those personal details so you understand where is this material and insight coming from, I hope you're somewhat satisfied for now. Happy to share more later. But when it comes to the workshops, the focus is really going to be on more of self-inquiry. So I'm not going to waste your time talking about my experiences unless it helps bring something down to earth, but it's really going to be you going inside and seeing within yourself. So, all right, well, my brothers and sisters, it's really great to be gathered with you in this way. And yeah, as far as blessings for 2020, I am looking at this as a year of balance and coherence. So finding our balance within the seemingly chaotic world and coherence. So really being rooted in a sense of value that is not dependent on the world's approval. So the world can approve, the world can disapprove, whatever. We are still going to be rooted in this sense of value that comes from knowing what you really are beneath all the fear. And through the process of really getting in touch and having a strong relationship with these various dimensions of ourselves, we can become so connected with our humanity that empathy begins to replace judgment and comparison. So beautiful changes inside of ourselves and changes in the world. So if you're down for that, then I'll see you soon.